Oh my god, I hate this mouse. I wanna do it.
Vince has a little mouse edition. If you want that, I can give it to you for that computer. You want it? Can you hear me? Hello, I hope we're live. Dr. Misak here, and we have Annie who's running the show back there. Annie, you'll give a thumbs up and say something?
Yes, we are up and live. Everything looks good. Can everybody hear us?
Yep, excellent. So I don't know how many people who have tuned in before. I'm hoping that if you're out there, that you are sharing the link, that you are putting the thumbs up, and that you're trying to let people know. We've moved to this 10 o'clock slot, so you guys and ladies, of course, on the West Coast can start tuning in. And we hope to just keep bringing you guys some fun information. As always, I like to start with something from the Bible, and Ephesians popped up today, and it's for our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, that so when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand. Yeah, wow. I mean, that's kind of a thought to think about what we're really up against in this world, but we know who gives us the strength to get by. So those of you who have not tuned in before, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm a pharmacist. I do, I do consultations in Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh Alternative Health. I think our front of our show kind of has the emblem on there somewhere on the page. Andy kind of keeps track of that stuff. I cannot. It's too much visual stuff for me. And what we've been doing is just trying to walk you through a little bit how we go through the analytical perspective of what we do. RBTI is a functional basis. At some point, we can have Andy turn around and upload videos that show you the RBTI. All of them are on the channel. If you're on my channel, Doc Misak, which you have to be, and you have to know it's there. So if you, otherwise, you'll find that shadow banning prevents you from finding me. So if you are telling anybody and you are sharing this, you either have to send out a link. We send it out via Facebook. For those of you who are, part of my Facebook page at Pittsburgh Alternative Health, if you want to share that with people, or in some regard, you have to let people know that they can't just look up health by the numbers or God's healing by the numbers. You will not find it. You have to specifically put in Doc Misak. At this point, I think if you look up my last name, you will find our channel. But I don't know how long that'll even last with the way that they kind of are preventing search engines and these things to be found. So what I can is just say is thank you for those of you who are tuning in, and I hope that you find this information, just educational and inspiration to say, okay, hey, health is possible. So a couple of weeks ago, we did some basics. We popped up Annie's blood up on the microscope behind me, which I just have someone else's random blood up behind me. We went over live blood microscopy, the educational aspects of what it shows you, size of your red blood cells, how that makes a difference, the shapes make a difference, the distribution of white blood cells, the platelets, fibrin spindles, things that you can see in the blood that say, wow, if this is here, then we know this is happening. Last week we did electrodermal. We introduced you to the concepts of electrodermal testing called electroacupuncture by Vol, EAV testing. Kind of went over a little bit about the history of it. Just showed you what you do, how you can measure electrical points on the body, how you could stress those points with frequencies associated with foods or chemicals. And if that frequency turns around and throws balance points out of balance, it's like electrical signature that says, hey, electrically, my body says, heck no with this. I can't tolerate it. Or in contrast, you can find points that were imbalanced, and then you can find electrical signatures that bring you back into balance. And then you can introduce those by using homeopathic vibrational remedies. The way that equipment is sold to practitioners is they encourage practitioners to find imbalance points, and they have a network of products that they can sell you to balance those points. And although that can be beneficial, it's not the way that I kind of see that it ought to be done, just for the fact that you're promoting somebody to sell something instead of being able just to electrically balance and use something that really costs nothing. you can do that. I introduced some other concepts. I talked about radionics. I talked about orgonite and those type of things. People that it's like diving down a rabbit hole with the amount of information that you can do from electrical analysis. And why the heck do we want to do electrical analysis? This bottom line is you are electric. Your body is when you're looking at Einstein's E equals mc squared, energy is the same thing as matter with a speed of light constant. Well, you are matter. Well, at least I hope you do matter. I know you do because you're a child of God. But in regards to that matter, energy is heat and or electricity. That's what makes you up. And so therefore, when we're trying to assess the health of an individual, that's where the genius of Dr. Carrie Reams comes in. And you will find that I consistently, when I say health by the numbers or God's healing by the numbers, it's because that Dr. Carrie Reams outlined this system of measuring values in your urine and your saliva that give us an idea of what is your body doing with food, how are you processing the food, what's your body's efficiency. When you're talking about energy efficiency, and we teach there's ranges of efficiency based upon how far you are away from the ideal, and how you can get into a range that you're generating more energy than your body consumes. And with that, therefore, the healing power of nature, the whole philosophy of naturopathic medicine is that your body is self-restorative based upon the environment that you're creating for your body. So other concepts that I have taught, in that first show that we did, it was actually 3 shows ago, but it was spotty and broken because we were having all these internet issues and frustration was in, and we weren't able to come eat back with you each week because we couldn't get the show up. But we did introduce the concepts of what we call the 5 phases of health, the protecting yourself from your environment, thinking pure food, pure water, EMF protection. I'm going to be bringing more about electromagnetic field protection and 5G information at some point, and pure air and looking at air quality and I'm having, water quality is becoming a huge issue, and especially now that I'm doing other types of testing that shows people toxic and gas metabolites and styrenes from drinking out of styrofoam cups or plastics and phthalates and stuff like that in your body. So we want to test, and analyze. And so, but as you go through that 5 phases, phase 2 is testing, what is specific to you that we could identify what's imbalanced, looking at electrodermal testing, looking at live blood, looking at RBTI, Reams' biological theory of ionization, and measuring those numbers and parameters, looking at different types of biochemical processing like organic acid testing or environmental toxicity testing that helps us to explain the why, what's going on, and how do we address it? What do we do now that we know the why? How do we get this out of the body? How do we support the body? And that walks us into phase 3 is support. And support is not, is not taking B12 for a nerve condition or taking a glandular, or adaptogens for your adrenal or your thyroid support. But support is like, how can we identify specifically what we know your body needs? And RBTI gives us that understanding of saying, hey, you are electrochemical, and those electrochemical interactions are mineral based. So we're looking at the functional basis of minerals, the functional basis of vitamins specific to where your chemistry and your energy is outside of the norm, and how we can give your body a support, not take something to fix it, but take something to support your body to do what it needs to do. We're trying to, it's everything is in a process, not a product. There are products that are wonderful out there, and I'm sure the chat group will turn around and ask me about things like Carbon 60, and even mine. Hey, I got, we got vitalometry that you see around the screen, and like, hey, why are you promoting? We're promoting a product. Is the promotion of that product is, and the creation of that product was specifically to improve efficiency and to help people on a DNA level. And I can't claim that it does that, but I can tell you, those of you who have done it, if you're out in the chat, please chat and let people know how you feel on the product. We've had so many wonderful things come about it, and there's this whole picture going on of how we want to reach the multitudes. The harvest is ripe. God has, I don't know why I've been chosen to put this information out there and why I do this. Sometimes I feel it's more of a burden than it is a pleasure. But there's a reason that he put this stuff in my head, and why I'm out on the other side of this camera and speaking it out to you. And vitalometry is just one of those things to support that mission to come together, where there are hopefully like-minded people that want to come out and say, oh my God, Doc, what you're doing and showing people is meaningful, and let's do this. And if that's you, then we've got a plan. We want to train you, we want to equip you, and we're working on those next steps. So after that support is detox, and Annie's getting ready to do some detox. So we're going to talk about her today a little bit and put her on the spot. And she's rolling her eyes because as long as I talk, you're going to see me. But because we're on a meeting that if she starts talking, you're going to see her. So I wish you could just love to see what her expressions right now. But detoxification is natural, people. Short-term crappiness for long-term happiness. Your body's got to go through it in order to eliminate these burdens. So if we show that you're toxic in molds and toxic in phthalates and dioxins and PCBs and styrenes and gas metabolites and all these environmental things, how do you get them out of your body? We will mention those things. And phase 5 of that 5-phase health system is just awareness, people. There is a mental, emotional, spiritual component to everything. And I'll tell you, if it wasn't for God and his grace, I would go crazy in my head. I wouldn't see a reason to be here. This world is screwed up, people. And, just that opening of Ephesians saying, hey, our battle is not, against the flesh. Our battle is in the heavenly realms. And we live in a dark world, people. But there is infinitely more light and infinitely more love. And God's grace is abundant, people. And healing is available. And that's what I hope to bring to you. And so it's all this big package. I'm not some magical person who's gonna, put you in a trance. Although I do understand hypnosis, so we could turn around and start and doing some suggestive themes, huh? But that's not what it's about, people. It's you need to train your own mind and train your own tongue, and you need to understand what you're speaking into your life and what you believe to be possible. And I'm not here to turn around and say what I'm doing is 100% right. But what I am doing is showing you from an analytical perspective of trying to say, hey, here's cause and effect. If I can, I could tell you stories. I have patients with MS that, now we're identifying massive amounts of mycotoxins in these people. And I have patients who have, I have one who has an autoimmune condition, vitiligo, lack of where the pigmentation of the skin. It's an autoimmune condition. She's testing positive for massive amounts of environmental toxins in her body. So, what's happening here is their ability to be functionally healthy being compromised by something of this world? Well, this world compromises all of us, and you just have to figure out on what level is that happening. And for some of you, it's spiritual. And if you want to talk about God, let's talk. He is here, he is everywhere, and he is ready to help you. And he is knocked, people. He just knocked on the door. He's waiting behind it for you to say, hey, find me. It's you being found. So, walk through that door and just, if you're atheist, I'm sorry. If you're agnostic, seek and say, hey, because when you start seeking, you will find that God's grace is abundant, and his plan for you is incredible. And he only wants the best, as you are a child of his, and he doesn't want a single one of us to get away. So with all that, going, I want to bring you guys Annie, because Annie is about ready to talk. And, we've introduced a little bit about Annie over the last couple weeks. You've seen her behind the scenes, kind of making all this reappear and happen again with a show and a new look. She is an adorable person with a story to tell you why we saw that crap in her blood a couple weeks ago. And if you watch that show and you go back and watch that show about the live blood after you hear her story today, I think that it'll be like, wow, how can that really be happening with the blood? And how does it show that? And it's all energy, people. And it's amazing what these things do. So, Annie, I'm going to kind of lay it out to you. Is there any questions out there before we kind of dive in and put you on the spot?
Let's see. No, Connie says she's lost 8 pounds since starting RBTI and using vitalometry. So you got some goodness there. No, everybody's just saying good morning. So I guess I can just take it. So I'm going to tell my story. My story started in '99. I was playing volleyball and I fell out on the volleyball court, and I was 14 at the time. And went to the doctor, and they told me that I had a big curve in my back. I had scoliosis. So I had a 33-degree curve at the top and a 44-degree curve at the bottom. So they said surgery. Literally, we walked into the office Thursday, and I had surgery Monday. I had 2 growth plates left, and they were very convinced that if I didn't have surgery, I wouldn't walk. So I was an athlete at the time, so I really wanted to be able to play. So I was more than willing to go in and have that surgery. And I do have one of my x-rays from after that surgery here. Let's see. There it is. So that's after my first surgery. They fused me T10 down to L4, and I was fine. I played sports through high school and in college. I bowled and golfed 2 nights a week. Maybe that was a bad move after.
Now, Annie, I can't see that right now. Are you sharing that through Zoom, or are you just posting it through OBS?
Yeah, I'm showing it through OBS, so you can't see it.
Okay.
So everything was fine. I played softball in college. I was able to really live my life how I wanted. I had some pain, but it was all manageable. I didn't have any real problems. And then fast forward to 2012, I fell down the stairs one day. And when that happened, I broke my back in 4 places below my fusion. So the reason I went to the doctor was because I kept collapsing. I don't know, every time I would move right, I would fall. So going to the docs, and they tell me that they can fix it, and I have this huge surgery ahead of me again. So I went to 4 different places to have that confirmed. I went to Hopkins, I went to Duke, I went to the Cleveland Clinic, I went everywhere. I went to Pittsburgh, I went everywhere to get second opinions, and everybody had this the same vision, that this would work and that everything would be okay. So back to my x-rays. This is now me. This is me after my surgery. So what they did is they went in and put a cage around L4, L5, and fused S1, and then fused my hips to my spine, which is a lot. But after that surgery, about 2 months after that surgery, my chest pain started, and that chest pain stayed until maybe a year ago, about a year after I met Dr. Misak. He helped me figure out what was wrong. But what happened was, after the surgery, the fusion that they did caused my neck and like my thoracic spine to compensate for that bend that they took away. So my neck also started to bend the wrong way. And so then you have disc injuries and all kind of pain. I got to the point where my quality of life was gone. I didn't have I couldn't walk and breathe at the same time. I couldn't really do much of anything. And I went to every specialist I could find, and nobody seemed to help. Fast forward to 2017, I meet Doc. I met him in January 22nd. We ran my numbers. He did a diet change on me, gave me some minerals, and within 3 weeks, it was as if a switch threw in my body. I finally could just function. I could lay down without a lot of pain. I could move better. So things finally started changing. My legs were my big issue. My nerves, I guess, were my main problem because of my B vitamins being lacking. So tons of problems with my legs collapsing and things. And I'm happy to say I don't fall very often these days now. Have severely changed that around. Still working on the upper part of my body. I have 7 ribs and 4 vertebrae that come out of place on the regular. So I visit the chiropractor every other day and try to eat good. Inflammation, I have learned, is my big culprit there. So I'm trying to do anything I can to keep myself moving, which is not easy. But I have Doc, and he helps me through a lot of stuff. So I guess that's my story in a nutshell. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing is like when you started coming here, there was I remember like in a couple, 2-3 weeks, I got a phone call from the Back Institute or something, and they wanted the Disc Institute, and they wanted to refer somebody, and I'm like, who the heck are you guys?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently you had been a client at the Disc Institute, and because of the changes that you had seen, they turned around and like, oh my God, this is something that really, really helps somebody with regards to back pain. Then we started to introduce you to the genius of flexibility and Bob Cooleys' work, and I'll never forget the day that you walked in here like, Doc, come here. I'm like, what? And you watched and you leaned over and touched your toes. Yeah. And you're like, and you were like ready to jump to the ceiling, like, oh my God, can you believe that I just did that? And
absolutely was. It's a good day.
And so, but unfortunately, with that hardware in you, and now your hips are fused, something's got to compensate. And that's where we are with Annie's care right now, is the aspect of saying, hey, with those fusions and everything, and nothing can move in the bottom, what's tend to happen and why we think you're getting the chest pain is because the overcompensation on the upper part of the body is the ribs are popping out, the neck is going out, just to try to compensate to keep the upper body on a level playing field. We've talked about upper cervical chiropractic care. What can we do to try to influence this? But, which is unfortunate that you still have good and bad days, and that we can't find that consistency. But out of all of the things, was it the minerals? Is it the anti-inflammatories? Is it the stretching? Is it the chiropractic? What have you found? Gives you, how do
I find relief?
Yeah.
Well, I think to begin, the minerals were paramount. I mean, I was in such a bad place. I mean, like I said, I couldn't walk and breathe at the same time. My body hurt so bad. It was a miserable place to be. So my minerals are first, but chiropractor is always second. When my alignment's in, I'm a lot happier, but it's getting it to stay right now. It'll stay for about 10 hours after I get adjusted, and then it's out. But I think that's just because I kind of go crazy and tend to catch up on everything that I can't do while I'm out of alignment. But yeah, I think it's chiropractor. Stretching is great, but I can't get to the point where I can really do yoga or do any really, I don't know, involved stretching. In my opinion, I can't seem to get stronger yet because I'm in trauma so much. So that's kind of my balance. I get about a day of goodness, and then it's tragically gone. And I'm trying to scramble and get back. So it's a crazy circle, but I've learned how to deal with when my pain levels are up, how to use my essential oils, how to get in the tub, how to do cupping, how to, do these different therapies to help my mind survive it. Because when mentally unstable, I can handle the pain a little better. So.
Yeah, in the office, I've noticed you've done whether it be sauna and or hyperbarics. Hyperbarics is suggested to reduce inflammation, comparable to taking like 100 ibuprofens. I mean, have you noticed a great deal of reduction of pain when you are jumping that hyperbaric chamber?
Absolutely. I can't believe I left that out. About 3 months ago, I kind of hit a wall and was getting frustrated because my pain really wasn't changing. And then I started getting the hyperbaric chamber after my adjustments. Almost every adjustment, I would lay in the hyperbaric for at least an hour. And after about 3 weeks of that, that's whenever I first started getting some real change that I could, longer change, I guess, like a longer day afterwards that I would feel decent. So the hyperbaric chamber, I think, is paramount to me because my breathing, I don't know this, but I feel like I don't get enough oxygen, especially when my pain levels are up. I can't take a deep breath. I just feel like I have a weight on me, and it's, I know that oxygen levels in my body are important and that they're affected by this. So I think hyperbaric has been the best therapy that I've found. Absolutely.
Well, I think I'm going to have to teach you how to do self-adjustments. And your chiropractor probably won't be the happiest thing about that. But, it's so, but I can't teach you chiropractic because I'd be doing something without a license then, right? so we're going to teach you some basics that you can do at home.
Yeah.
As we do some of those things. But what we're going to, one of the other things is Annie, we've talked about the aspects of those 5 phases, and one of them is detoxification, and we've never really walked you through that detox aspect. And I'm getting ready to, introduce you to what I currently just call goop cleansing, because I've done it for so many years. And colon cleansing people, there are some,
I said, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm not going to totally embarrass her, but there are some techniques and some things that I found over the years that, from a maintenance standpoint, that when I was introduced in natural medicine, and there were various concepts, hey, you should do a colon cleanse every, in the spring and fall, and which includes fasting. We should do fasting. And when you go back to even the work of Dr. Kerry Reams and RBTI, what people don't know is that he introduced everybody in his protocol to fasting. They come into a retreat center. Hey, we're going to starve you. You're not going to eat. And we're just going to give you water and lemonade. And we're going to look at what your numbers look like. And certain people just aren't able to fast. Their energy efficiency is just so stinking low. They're in that range E. Their pHs are down in the, 4.8 to 5.1 range. And when you have people over that are acid over acid, you cannot detox them people. That's one of the great things that RBTI will teach you is when to detox. I don't know if I had detox on these numbers. What was I showing? No, last time I did numbers, we were showing a set of numbers where Annie was here a couple weeks ago. And we kind of introduced the basics of those numbers. But, we're going to teach numbers, people. We're going to go back and go over all this stuff. But we're trying to use the show to lay a foundation of understanding. And because so many people think that, hey, Doc's going to run my numbers. He's going to tell me what to take, and then I'm going to get better, after. And it just doesn't exactly happen like that. Reams talked about what he called the XFactor. So every 20 years, he would see that it takes twice as much energy to maintain that perfect health. And so some people have interpreted that as I need to take twice as many mineral supplements in the RBTI world. And that is not at all what it means, people. It means that you need, it's just it's harder to maintain that efficiency. And so you just got to become a little bit more diligent. Sometimes it's dietary changes. Sometimes it is more minerals. But what I found is that after taking minerals for a long period of time, that I don't need to take as many. My nails are like super hard, whereas they didn't used to be, and things like that. I've just noticed changes over the years, and I don't need to take this massive load of minerals to keep my chemistry up. Whereas I used to take, oh my God, when I started RBTI, I was taking 12 to 18 calcium pills based upon how I learned this stuff. And now I'm finding that you do not need any of that. And some days I'm getting by with just 2 to 3, a couple Min-Cal, a Cal-2. Sometimes I'm taking 2 to 3 Cal-2s a day. when I start watching my chemistry and getting it back on track. And once I get it back on track and I'm eating right, all I need is a couple Mincol and a couple Cal-2s a day, you know. And then, but I do need selenium. I do need zinc. You know, I find that I need those consistently. And my hair analysis shows that I recommend once a year another analytical perspective of, hey, how am I using these minerals over a period of time, and how's my body utilizing them? So we're trying to give this understanding that healing takes time. And when you look at that X factor where it takes, you know, twice as much energy, he also found that, you know, in somebody 0 to 20 years old, within 6 months of maintaining your healing, your chemistry in an A range, you would see complete restoration of people. At least Reams would, you know. And so at the age of 40, it would take 12 months. And the age of 60, it would take another double. It would take 24 months. And at the age of 80, it would take, you're talking 48 months. And but what I find is that there's variations in regards to that, you know, I see that when we start people that are younger, we're looking at somewhere between 6 and 12 months. When I see somebody that's, you know, in their 20 to 40, I'm telling them, hey, you're probably looking at between 12, you know, 12 and 18 months, you know, versus 6 to 12. Someone 40 to 60, I'm like, hey, in reality, you're looking at a 2.5 year process. But it doesn't mean it takes 2.5 years to feel better. I have people feel better 2 weeks later after coming in and be like, oh my God, I haven't had energy like this in years. But for you to restore, to rebuild, to functionally get your chemistry to maintain itself where you're requiring less stuff, you know, it does take time. And unfortunately, you know, many people think that, hey, I come in one time, I take my numbers, you give them a regimen, they start feeling better, they're feeling great in a couple of weeks. They maintain it for a month and a half, and then they just like, I don't need these supplements anymore. I'm doing great. I wish it worked that way, people. It's a process. And here, Annie just told you we didn't start here until 2017, I believe it was. And it's even been sporadic with her ability to come in, you know, because of life and circumstances. And when she comes in, you know, Annie would go through and like, you know, Doc, I've got to get back in there. I'm so far off the bandwagon, and I'm tattletaling on you. But then you would come back in, and you'd be like, okay. And then we talk about something else, and then and then Annie gets this incredible like inspiration to let's move forward with this, you know, and keep doing it. She handed me the chat. So what you guys are saying here. So guys, when Doc has to go through, I cannot turn around and talk and look at your chat. So I'm going to see what you guys have to say. And as we go through here and kind of flip through here. What's up, Doc? Hi, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, again, everybody, please give a thumbs up. You know, that really, really, really helps. That thumbs up, everybody. I'm hoping anybody who's out there at least goes down and clicks that thumbs up button. If you are able to share, thanks again. I love me some Wilhelm Reich. I'm telling you, Wilhelm Reich is awesome. Prophet Bear, you speak the truth. I want to see us marry Carrie Reams, Wilhelm Reich. Wim Hof. Oh, my God, I love Wim Hof and his mental perspective of and teaching breathing. And those of you who don't know what Wim Hof is doing and learning Wim Hof breathing techniques, you're learning that fifth phase of self-awareness and incorporating mind in your own healing. It's mental training, people. It really is mental training. Ron, I hope that down there in those Costa Rica that the weather is better than it is with this rainy crud we're dealing with up here. But I hope you are doing well, Ron. Best time of day for a consultation, people. Zoltan, the call for a consultation, you got to get on the schedule. And when you're looking at that, you know, my office is Pittsburgh Alternative Health. If you look up Pittsburgh Alternative Health, you'll find me. Office hours are listed there. Those of you who are running your numbers, what we do is we schedule you for usually a 20 to 30 minute time slot where you run your numbers and we discuss them. First time talking, sometimes we spend 30 to 60 minutes. Do not just call my office. I tell people, please turn around and email the office, and reach out to us by email. The email address is office@pittsburghalternativehealth.com. You can link that through there, Annie, if you're able to throw that up in the chat, or somebody's able to throw that up in the chat for anybody, get in contact with Dr. Misak. Office@pittsburghalternativehealth.com. And those of you who are interested in retreats, we're looking at dates, possibly March, or we're looking at March, May, June, August. We've got some dates that we have potentially set out there. So those of you who are interested in retreats, and if you're not on our retreat list, you have to email the office. Again, office@pittsburghalternativehealth.com. Put retreat in the subject line, and you will get thrown into that email list, because the retreats is how we're going to teach you. At some point, those of you who have done level 1 retreats, we will offer a level 2 retreat, and we're going to teach you the aspects of supplementation, and then we'll do level 3 and teach you the aspects of therapies and other interpretations. So just keep that. It's all coming down the line. You've been shadow banned on my YouTube. Oh my God! Seriously, Earth Garden Living. I have been. I know I've been shadow banned, and that's why I'm asking all of you guys to share. If you do not put it out there with the link to this show, if you do not put out there that people have to search Doc Misak, they won't find me. They will not find me. We are in a world, and it is Ephesians 6:12, people, we're fighting evil. And I hope you believe what I'm telling you is truth, because I'm not out here to lie. It's not going to benefit me, and I don't want you all as my clients. I'm already too busy. It's not the aspect. I want to be able to teach this from a remote where you can take this somewhere else. People, I don't know how to get this out there except you making the difference and getting people to, I know like in Facebook, you can go under your settings and you can set Facebook to say see first. So then that way, whenever something is posted on Facebook, they will post that it's the first thing that you see. If there is such a setting on YouTube and people know back doors on how to make sure that YouTube gets up front, please let us know. Email me privately. I'll make sure Annie knows. If there is something other than sharing right now on YouTube and that thumbs up that we can do to make sure people hear about this and that we can get this word out. Because in all honesty, people, these shows are reaching 100 people. How many do you think it needs to reach? I don't want it to be about me, but I do want people to realize that I'm trying to make this information available, not to sit here and say, be my client. I'm trying to make it available so that you can take care of yourself. Congratulations. RBTI has been similar for me as well. I know Connie mentioned that she's lost some weight. RBTI is great for that, people. Such a blessing for Doc to share this information. Thank you. That job for Wim Hof and cryotherapy. Yeah, I'm not ready to go dive into the Arctic Ocean myself, people. There is some benefits for cryotherapy. I don't offer it, but there definitely is some benefits of doing that. It goes back to the principles of circulation and what hydrotherapy do. We can talk about hydrotherapy in the future. I really enjoy that. Wow, I'm not complaining anymore. Glad you're here, Connie, and sharing with us. I hope you are pain-free. I think they're talking to you, Annie.
Yeah.
I hope you're pain-free soon. Good. Connie, it's on Dr. Misak. We're praying for her. Good. Thank you. Prayer does work, people. Can you order your testing equipment and supplies directly through Doc Misak? Or you can. Yes, Connie, people can. Again, if you want testing equipment and you want to learn how to run your own test, on my channel, you will find videos, these little whiteboard ads, and one of them is directly that 5 minutes how to run your test. If you purchase your testing equipment through my office, again, office@pittsburghalternativehealth.com, You just put, testing equipment in the reference, or if you go to my page, PittsburghAlternativeHealth.com, there is a link on the front page about how to order testing equipment, all the information. If you say what you want, when you purchase testing equipment from us, we send it. We have calibrated that equipment. We send you instructions on how to use that equipment. We send you charts on, so you can test your nitrates, because it's difficulty finding good color nitrate charts. Even from the equipment people that if you buy it directly, it's hard to find those. We have found and made a copy that make it available to people that we give when people purchase equipment. We also give you a handout that we give out at our retreats. For those of you who have not attended retreats, we did booklets at the retreats. We did a booklet at the Kashmir retreat. We did a booklet in the Pittsburgh retreat. I have about 10 copies of those booklets. Those booklets, the first, we will sell those for $30 a copy. If you want to purchase a copy of the retreat information from the first to the second retreat, there's a little bit of different information in there. They're mostly the same, but each retreat we give a little bit more information. As far as the retreat recipes, Chris has, those of you who attended retreats, I'm sure you send your love to Chris. But she has now got all the recipes with the various forms of calciums that are in each one of those recipes. And we have those all typed out, and then we are working on putting that together in a format for people to put a book together as well. So that's something to look forward to. Let's keep going through these. I felt better after the second day of the retreat. Connie, good. Because you can also tell a story that some of the people at the retreat were not feeling their best because the chemistry starts changing. People start detoxing, short-term crappiness, long-term happiness. But by the end of the retreat, I would say that most people had some directions and they were noticing that things were changing and worked through. We had some really amazing things happen there. I need to get a drink, people. Wata. Something else we'll talk about at some point. Let's see. Can any supplements help hereditary varicose veins? Marty D. Yes, supplements can help. What's happening with, when you're looking at hereditary, you're saying, hey, I've got, this predisposition based upon my genes saying that I get varicosities. Well, varicosities caused by the smooth muscle, the integrity of those, and the collagen that's holding your blood vessels together getting lax and breaking apart. And part of that is directly in association with conductivity. If you go back to my old shows, which are on my website, when you go to, or my Doc Misak channel, if you go back and look on my Doc Misak channel, that one of them says interviews with Dr. Misak, and another one is old RBTI. I did these presentations of going through RBTI step by step, 6 or 7 shows. I interviewed with Betty Hernandez. The show on salts and conductivity will tell you a functional basis of how that occurs. Now, when people are looking at what to take, I'm going to tell you that you've got a mineral deficiency on the integrity of what's happening there, and you have a high conductivity breaking down the nerves and smooth muscle. That plays a role. Many people turn around and do everything like pineapple extract called bromelain. You'll see horse chestnut commonly used as a supplement for varicose veins. It has trace amounts of silica in there, and silica is needed for the integrity. Again, it's what do plants and herbs provide, people? When you look at flavonoids and you look at terpenes and you look at these constituents, what makes them up? They're chemical structures made up from carbon and minerals. Everything is mineral related. Reams explain that. But I'm not going to turn around and say, buy this supplement for veins. It doesn't work that way. get your conductivity under control your salts and your sugars. And then, yes, the horse chestnut, the trace mineral blends, those type of things can directly play a positive benefit. Thank you. Will email from Zoltan, Prophet Bear. I can't wait to go to one of these retreats. Excellent. Carolyn, hi. At Ron, good morning from Virginia. I'm glad that people from the retreats, you can see people, those of you who have attended retreats, keep connecting with one another. That's awesome. Prophet Bear, are babies able to be brought to the retreats? Yes. We would just have, if the baby's becoming disruptive, you could step out. But for the most part, the retreat is at a child care center. So there are things that the baby can do, depending on the age of that baby. I don't have a problem with that. I'm not going to charge you to bring your baby. If you bring a child that's eating meals 3 times a day, we would talk about a reduced rate and things like that. Carolyn, people saying hello again. Zoltan gave a buddy 2 bottles of Vitalometry 2 months ago. He said it makes him feel better. I've been using it for 8 months. Feel pretty good. Thyroid removed. That's awesome. Again, the stories that we're getting from Vitalometry have been incredible. You will notice that on my channel, I don't know if it's scrolling right now at the bottom of the page. It says, hey, when you go in and you use the code DOC-MISAC, you get 15% off of an initial order with Vitalometry. You will also find that people who have, we no longer have that ability of people to use the same code over and over and over again for the same discount codes with Vitalometry. Vitalometry is going to be going up in price, unfortunately. Acquisition cost of some of those ingredients, particularly those really expensive ones, cycloestragonol and astragoside IV, is causing the bottle of Vitalometry to go up $10. And it will be going up to $89.95, unfortunately. However, for those of you who have purchased and use a discount code, and if you keep we're going to try to keep some type of specials coming out periodically. And we're now looking into having an auto ship program where you'll get free shipping. That saves that $12. That's 10% right there. And a discount if you do a monthly order and just get on an auto shipment plan. And so then therefore we're trying to keep it affordable for those of you who want to keep purchasing it. But again, everything seems to just get more expensive in this world. And in order to continue us to try to get that business to grow and support this big picture, I thank those of you who have experienced it. I thank those of you who have tried it and are sharing it with family and friends. And again, tell them to use that DOC-MISAC code to bring things back. So we've gone about that 50 minutes. We're trying not to do long shows just because for some reason YouTubers do not like to watch long YouTube shows when they go back and keep that interest where we used to do like a 2-hour show. The rewatches are low because apparently people get sick and tired of listening to me after a while. I get tired of listening to myself. Annie, you want to take the reins there for a minute and have anything to say in regards to everything I've been rolling? We went through all of the chat box and everything, and anything that you want to talk about?
No, what's to come. I mean, we're gonna jump into some colonics and some other detox therapies that I'm gonna go through, and I'll be able to share how I feel and my story going forward. So should be interesting to give you guys some live type feedback from what I'm going through. So I'm excited to see what's to come in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, you have one more question in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Ridgewalker Anonymous. Let's call you Skywalker. How many of you enjoyed that new Star Wars movie? There were some things I like. In reality, those of you who are Star Wars fans, I think Ben should have been the one to live and kill the Emperor, and Rey should have been the one to die. But hey, I just look at things a little differently. naturopath gave me essential oils for intestinal issues, and hydrocortisone. Once you start down that steroid pathway, you're going to feel a little better, and long term, there's a huge compromise to that. Steroids long term deplete you of calcium utilization. They will balloon you up. They will just waste your bones away. I'm not going to sit there and say that your adrenal glands are probably not shot in some capacity. I've had people take vitalometry and say, oh my God, I've gone off of thyroid medications and stuff like that. But I'm not telling you that it's a replacement. And but when you're using essential oils, when you're using medications to functionally give your body something that it should be making it's on its own, there is, it's a great short-term fix. And it is I talk about what we call a hierarchy of therapeutics. And what is that? We want to support the body, but not, we start with the aspects of diet and homeopathy and acupuncture and things that are non-toxic to the body, to drugs and surgery. And so in between that, you start coming up to, you start using herbs and essential oils and then somewhere in there is nutraceuticals, which start moving towards drugs. You got the GABA and the phenylbute and the L-theanine and these things that mess with neurotransmitters, and then you start working into natural drugs, armored thyroid and hydrocortisone, and those are considered natural drugs, right, people? Before you go to drugs, there are cases for drugs. I really enjoyed hydromorphone and morphine when I was in the hospital with a gallbladder or an appendix issue years ago. So there's definitely a place for drugs. And I've had people who go through and use drugs in certain cases, and we help to support them, and over time they're getting off of them. But when you're looking at what do, you go by the numbers. I'm going to tell everybody, until you have an analytical perspective, when I look at the blood, do you have an immune dysregulation? Do you have an autoimmune condition? They might say, I've got Hashimoto thyroiditis. Why the heck is your body attacking itself? Is there an underlying mycoplasma? Is there underlying mold issues? Underlying viral issues that are going on? When you're looking at the thyroid or the adrenal gland shutting down, why? You're exceeding the stress that your body can handle. So you got to reduce the stress load. Look at the 5 health phases that I've got on my website, Pittsburgh Alternative Health, and get a conceptual idea of what we're talking about there. When you're looking at digestive issues, what are you eating? Start by the blood type diet, at least, elimination of something, because something's triggering it off. We test you for food and chemical sensitivity to identify what you're reacted to. That's why we did the show last week on electrodermal testing, and let's try to identify what's causing it here. When you go by the numbers, you can see where the deficiencies lie. You can see what systems are broken down. When you're looking at the blood, you see where the excessive stress is. Your bottom line, consuming more energy than you're getting, period. And you have to take some perspective to identify it. If you're working with a naturopath, at least have them do organic acid testing with a Great Plains laboratory and functionally look at biochemically, what's your body doing from a standpoint of neurotransmitters to detoxification to potential bacterial or fungal or some type of load that's going on biochemically. Take some type of analytical perspective instead of saying I've got these symptoms and these essential oils are helping and the adrenals are being supported with a pseudo drug, hydrocortisone, although it's natural because your body makes it, to help you feel better. It's awesome that you're feeling better, and you can see that I will rant and rave about my own profession taking a drug approach, because you heal naturally when you change the internal world and give your body what it needs. You need minerals, and you need it from mineral dense foods. Unfortunately, where do you buy high bricks foods? If anybody has links to high bricks foods, please post them. Please send me associations so that as I develop the health coalition, that we link to these people, that we support these people, that we spend our money with these people, that we tell the world that this is what we want to spend our money on, because we all want to be healthy, because we don't want to just consume toxic agricultural crap, which is most of what you're getting. You know, even going to Whole Foods, I mean, it may be organic, but it doesn't mean that it's got minerals in it.
Very
okay.
True. You have one more question up here on the chat.
Okay. Oh my God. I started ranting and now there's 5 of them. Now I see how this works.
I didn't want to just be like, stop.
Hey, you guys, how do you guys you like Annie? She's coming out of her shell here, people. You guys got to put some comments out there, encourage her, and please pray for her healing. Here we go. Let's see. Auto ship would be great by Marty. We are buying more often now. My husband is taking Vitalometry. Good. Thank you, Annie. Thanks, Annie. Thanks, Doc. I'm curious as what causes intense sweat, intense sweets, and carb craving. I could okay. When you have intense carb craving, welcome to the club, brother. I was raised on sugar, and if I start down that path, it's an addiction, you know. But you got to get a refractometer. You need a in reality, you should get a refractometer, a conductivity meter, and pH strips at a minimum, and test your first 5 numbers. In reality, if you want to see the big picture, I'm always going to talk to you about testing all the numbers and doing those nitrates. But when you have intense carb cravings, you've got sugar dysregulation. You're spiking and crashing, and it's sugar dysregulation. You got to learn to control them. Go back to my shows that are on Interviews with Dr. Misak or Health by the Numbers or my old shows. Watch those shows, because I've done them repeatedly, where I teach you about sugar regulation, salt regulation, looking at the cell debris. Look at those numbers, people, and that's how you correct it. Sometimes we have you add a little bit of juice to your water, but that juice that we add is dependent on what that salt number, on what that and what those pH numbers are doing, because certain juices will crash you, will have those pHs go down. Other juices will raise those pHs. And so you need to look at what you're doing and have a functional understanding. So when you're looking at, those sugar cravings, it's an addiction. It can be caused by microbes. You can have fungal overgrowth. You can have viral. You can have parasitic. You can have, fungal is yeast. You can have bacterial overgrowth. And there is research showing that these parasites and things that are in our body can cause neurotransmitter imbalances that tell your brain to, be dopamine deficient or serotonin issues that cause you to crave certain things. Where is serotonin most in your body? Question. Who's the first person that can answer that in this chat? Where is the most serotonin produced in your body? I'm giving you 15 seconds. Counting now. Do 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 do.
You might have to wait 30 because there's a delay.
Oh, 30-second delay. Dang it. Okay. So but anyway, come on. I don't have anybody coming out here, and it is endocrine system. We have Profit Bear. Ridge Walker. Anon. I'm going to call you Skywalker because you got the force, babe. It is in your gut. 95% of serotonin, a mood modulator, something that tells you to crave foods, produce an enterochromaffin cells in your gastrointestinal tract. If you're a moody person and you are a mood eater and you got serotonin issues, you know what, people? There is something that's modulating that in your gastrointestinal tract. And it's what you're eating that starts the transport, but it's also the microbiome, the gut bugs that are living in there. People, you are talking and getting me to walk down another rabbit hole, and it seems like we're going to have some good shows. But I know I tried to keep it under an hour, and now we're over. And so I am going to end this show and just thank you all. Please, 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 before all of you leave, make sure that thumbs up is up. Please share this on Facebook, share this on Twitter, share the link to this show so we can build this following. And we will start posting each week on Facebook on that, my Facebook page is Pittsburgh Alternative Health. And please share all this information. Let's go. Let's move this stuff forward. I'm going to say goodbye for the weekend. Happy New Year to all of you. May your year be blessed and just prosperous and all your dreams come true. Thank you for everything. I will see you next week, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Until then, again, blessings.